to hand this over and we'll get started.
Well, really thanks a bunch, everybody, for the opportunity to talk with you all today and give you some insight as to some of the things we're offering in the Center for Imaging Research here at MCW. So our facility is here right on Connell Avenue, across more or less from the old ED parking lot for both children's and freighters, or right outside of the hub. It's a little short one-story building. It's Daniel M. Sorf Imaging Research Facility. There we have located two high-field MRI systems for human use, a portable MRI system for human head imaging, and a small animal preclinical system for, a lot of that preclinical and sample work that happens. We also support an imaging informatics platform. It's hosted in the Microsoft Azure cloud, which means that you can get to it wherever you are. It's integrated with MCW single sign-on, so you'll be able to log into it with your MCW credentials. Right now, we're supporting just under 300 projects on it, and well over 10 million images with it. And that is a web service where we have access to support organizing imaging data that comes in for your research. Also lets investigators bring imaging data from off campus to MCW. So if you have a multi-site imaging study and you need to somehow get the images here, that has a nice web portal where your external partners can bring images into it. It's also where we distribute all of the images that get acquired on our equipment and hand that off to investigators through the web portal. We support right now about 48 labs here on campus. And that goes from advanced translation, right? The Daniel M. Sorf Imaging Research Facility. It supports both research dedicated care. It's also accredited by the American College of Radiology, which means that we can see patients that are billed out to insurance. And there, we aren't just doing standard clinical imaging, but rather offering the support of clinical imaging with research add-ons. So if somebody has a protocol where they need to get a few extra images on a patient, they can come in for their clinical exam and then have those few extra images supported to not have that research participant need to make a separate trip. We support right now about 32 active clinical trials. We have the imaging data warehouse, which allows for de-identified access to clinically acquired images. For large-scale retrospective machine vision sort of research. We have full development environments for every one of these scanners. So if somebody is doing technology development on that acquisition or reconstruction side of MRI, we can support that here. And about 60% of the people that are doing human research with us are doing functional neuroimaging. So they're sitting inside the scanner, one of those 2-3 Teslas that are on the left there, doing some form of a task, and researchers are acquiring images and seeing what part of their brains are used for that. So with that, we have all sorts of fun ancillary equipment with those systems, video display boards that are in the rooms, audio presentation, pressing button boxes. And for people that aren't involved with fMRI, we still have all that stuff there. So people can watch movies or listen to music when they're having a research or a clinical exam there. For the patients and participants, that makes it a little more comfortable. And for the people looking at the pictures, they tend to stay more still. And we end up getting better images because of that. Also, of course, because this is a Science Talk AI, there I said it. But we have massive GPU and data storage servers that are located right on that same network where those MRI systems are to support artificial intelligence and image reconstruction, machine vision, and some data processing that goes with it. So there's our overhead view of our campus. The Daniel M. Sorf Imaging Research Facility is, where's my cursor? Do I have a cursor? Oh, is it visible? Oh, yeah. The Daniel M. Sorf Imaging Research Facility is located right here. If you go for the street view, it is this nice little building just off of the hub. You can see here we have 5 parking spots for research participants and patients that come in. We can basically support one person that's in each of those 2 human scanners and the next person that's coming or leaving to have a place where they can park with a short walk into the facility. This door in the Daniel M. Sorf Imaging Research Facility is open to the public when we're open to the public. And it is staffed by a member of our team who can help get people into the scanners and registered with Epic if they're here for a clinical trial. The layout of our facility is sort of split into these two buildings over here being the human-facing side, and then a research dedicated side towards the back. On that human side, we have one scanner on each side of the check-in desk with private waiting areas there. Those private waiting areas are wonderful places for consenting research participants. If you schedule time on the scanner, the full time of the person in front of you makes that room available for you as an automatic reservation. So if somebody before you has an hour-long scan set, you get an hour and 15 minutes of time in that room dedicated with you and the participant. The lowest amount of time that you'll be able to get in those dedicated waiting rooms is a half hour with 15-minute minimal exam durations and 15 minutes between exams on those scanners. We have the ultra low field MRI system over on one of those wings. That is our portable MRI system for head only work. You get basically a T1, T2 diffusion weighted and flare acquisition. I know that's probably Greek to most people here, but basically a full standard neuro imaging anatomical set of acquisitions in about a half hour with that piece of equipment. And because it's portable, we can take it different places on campus. So if you have a research participant that's meeting in your lab and you need some brain imaging associated with it, we can work with you and bring that system over to you. We have a few ancillary rooms as well. We have a mock scanner room where if you have participants that have never been in an MRI before, want to experience what it's like before going into the actual MR system where time is a little more expensive, you can actually reserve time on that mock scanner room for free. Put the participant in there, teach them what it's like to sit still inside of an MRI. We also have medical support room with phlebotomy chair and members of the TRU actually come and support blood draws for research participants in that space. And an additional training room. So if there is, again, those functional neuroimaging tasks oftentimes require a little extra training up front. And we can support that training with the same computers that are on the MRI systems in the dedicated interview room that we have over here. Past the human side, we have then the preclinical side, where we have that MRI system for primarily rats and mice, 3 animal prep bays, and a C-arm X-ray system, which again is a portable system which can go over to the animal facility or be used in our facility here for things like fluoroscopy. So our human details, you can read what we have there, but for research, the system's good for the whole body. If there is a exam that you need to run with MRI, we can support it with those human systems. For clinical add-ons, the American College of Radiology requires certification for multiple different body parts. So there we can do brain, we can do spine, we can do musculoskeletal, so hips, shoulders, knees, ankles, and things like that. We have body accreditation under review right now. So we'll have body coming in shortly, which then allows for things like prostate imaging, liver imaging. Between brain, spine, and musculoskeletal, you get about 2/3 of all MR that's out there. It goes up to about 75% by adding body to it. So if you have a research study where adding MR to it would be beneficial, and you want to do it as an add-on, about 3/4 of all of those clinical exams that you would run, we'd be able to support an add-on. If it's something that we don't do right now, we'd love to hear about it so that we can plan ahead and get more accreditations in the future if that makes sense. The systems are staffed 6 days a week, starting early in the morning, about 7:30. Going to about 9 o'clock at night on those days where we have the PM coverage. And on Saturdays, we're running about 9 to 4. You can make your reservations in iLab for it. The billing for the systems is hourly at $551 an hour. As a service center here, we have to operate at cost. So that's what the cost comes down to right now. We also can support CPT code-based billing. So instead of doing an hourly rate, again, if you're doing something like a clinical trial, we can bill those clinical trials for the procedures rather than the hourly time. The portable MRI, again, that's there for brain. And it's a really, really simple thing for about a 30-minute exam. Images look about like something that you would have seen in the 90s rather than now. But the difference is that you can take this anywhere on campus and get those images. The animal imaging, we have that Bruker 9.4T system. It can do the anatomical imaging. It can do the dynamic imaging for things like cardiac. Really supporting a lot of rat and mouse imaging, and the person that's operating that has over 20 years of experience doing MR in small animals, which actually, to go back, the human systems are all operated by registered technologists. So those are people that essentially they have exactly the same training that are available in the clinic. And our team is really specialized in doing the unique protocols that align with research. Usage of that 9.4, again, we're billing out at $220 an hour. And beyond that, we have the C-arm for the animal imaging. And for those animals that are a little bigger than can fit in the bore of this 20-centimeter bore on the 9.4T, we have the capability of running larger animals on those human systems as well. Some experience over their different animal models, including rabbits and pigs. Our research data repository here, again, it's hosted in Microsoft Azure. It's using some software called XNAT. It has organized data access in a sort of a hierarchical manner. If you're running a project, you decide who you want to have access to your data in your project. And then inside of that project, you'll have the subjects, the sessions, and then the various imaging series associated with them. It has an integrated viewer, which allows one, so there's just a few screenshots of it. And it has an integrated viewer, which allows you to see the images and actually make measurements or draw regions of interest. So if somebody's looking at volumetric changes or seeing how intensity might change in some areas, you can actually draw on those images what areas you want the data from. And we have pipelines to support you getting the numerical values from those pixels that are there. Being all based in the cloud, this allows researchers to work on this without having to get specialized software or training on their own computers. One of the fun things, because we've built this and are hosting it, in our help menus on this, we have videos and PDF documents to walk you through the different things that you can do with the software. The storage on this, we're matching what Research Computing Center charges for storage, which is ramping up to $130 per terabyte per year. And again, if you're going to be doing any processing on the data here in an automated way, which we can support, we just pass through the cost of that processing on to whoever's using it. So for our services, right, we can also support, how to use the equipment, getting protocols put together. Our team can support digital image processing, so computing volumes, computing things in the radiology world they call radiomics, basically turning the images to data. With image annotation, right, you can do segmentation of different organs or areas of interest. With the imaging data warehouse, we can support the large-scale retrospective image data curation and de-identification. With free text in so many different places, we have some local large language models where we can help people extract structured data from unstructured free text reports, which is kind of fun. And we have 3 programmers on our team, which I'm a little biased because I work with them every day, but I think they're some of the best people, certainly in the Midwest, if not in the US, with doing research dedicated manipulation of DICOM images and supporting things to help researchers with interactive analysis. So this is a whole bunch of information, and really, I just wanted to, I appreciate the opportunity to bring it out in front of everybody. So that there's some awareness of this, and we're here to help. If there are ideas, or if you're doing imaging or supporting imaging in any of the trials or studies that you're working on, please feel free to reach out to us. And we would very much appreciate the opportunity to work with you. So with that, you can give us feedback. Go to our website, mcw.edu, Department Center for Imaging Research. There's a survey. So if there's any things that you feel that you need that we might not be offering, or places where you think we could be doing better, or places where you want to say our team's doing a great job, you can click out to that. And also for researchers here, we have a good deal of funds available for pilot awards. So imaging can be expensive, right? $500 an hour for using a system is not cheap. But when you get a grant, then the dollars sort of work out. If you don't have a grant, see, it feels like a pretty high barrier to entry. We have the pilot awards specifically for that, to help researchers get preliminary data at essentially no cost to their lab, to put that data then into applications for extramural funding. So please check that out as well, if we can help you out. I'll stop there. There's my email address. Yeah, you can check out the website too. Thank you.
Excellent. Does anybody have any questions? In the chat. All right. We're going to move right along. Thank you so much. Advance the slides for a second.
Hey, well, I'm Mindy Wagoner, and I am the pharmacy leader for investigational drug service at Flater. And I've been with the organization since 2009 in a variety of roles, leading the IDS team since 2018. So I wanted to give kind of a brief overview of who we are and what we do. Also, my team recently created a more comprehensive, I would say, tip sheet, so maybe we can send that out after. But we are divided between pharmacists and then research assistants. We have 9 pharmacists now and 6 technicians, dividing their time between both cancer center and then non-cancer, and then between, I would say, the study startup and maintenance activities, and then dispensing and patient care. So it's I would say, division of resources and time every day. So our team, this isn't everybody, but we work together, and they are always organizing fun things to do together. So they like each other, and they're always doing things outside of work. So I just wanted to kind of provide, if you've never put some names with faces, this is the IDS team. And then for our roles and responsibilities, so we support ordering of investigational drugs, and then accountability. And that drug accountability happens in Vestigo. So many of you are probably familiar with that. That's our electronic tool where we monitor receipt, essentially the ins and outs of drugs. And then the tool is actually developed over time so that we can keep track of other things like temperature logs all within there. We are preparing and dispensing investigational drugs per the protocol, and then ensuring that they're stored correctly. So all of you probably know there's typically very strict temperature monitoring controls that we have to have with our investigational drugs, and then also, having locked storage with badge access, those sorts of things. And then the pharmacists are typically involved in attending meetings where a pharmacist is required. So usually at an SIV, a pharmacist is required, at least for the part that impacts pharmacy. And then sometimes we'll be asked by the sponsor to attend some of those site qualification visits. And then a pharmacist will typically attend those as well. So again, we have this division of what we're doing between the direct patient care and then some of the administrative duties. And so for direct patient care, our pharmacists are involved in the clinical review of the research patients when they come for care to receive drug. And so that can happen through many different areas. So it could be at our FH inpatient units, our Freighter clinics, the Cancer Center TRU, or the adult TRU in the pavilion. And so our inputs as far as where we're dispensing drug to research patients are all over the campus. And then as far as our dispensing, again, it's also all over the campus to these different areas. And then we also love to support medication inquiries that come in from study teams related to patients' home beds potentially. And, does the protocol allow for this? And so we support those clinical inquiries. Our pharmacists are involved in collaborating with OCRIC on the Medicare coverage analysis requests. They're doing the initial review for all of the protocols from a pharmacy perspective, and then all the amendments that come through to see if we need to make modifications either in how we're dispensing, how we're storing those that are built into the electronic medical record because they're administered in the freighter spaces. We have to make modifications to those. So also heavily involved with our EPIC teams in Beacon, which is for oncology, and then Willow is for just basic pharmacy medication records that are built within the EMR. So we prepare a pharmacy summary that's available through Freighter Resources. You can get through it through Epic and then through the web. But that pharmacy summary has essentially is anything that we as pharmacy need for the dispensing of the medication. And it takes the protocol and summarizes it into what we need. We participate in the site initiation visits, and then we also can help support protocol development for the pharmacy sections of IIT studies. We have one of our pharmacists that participates as an IRB vice chair, and then we have participation, and there's an oncology safety committee committee that are for research that one of our pharmacists participates in as well. And then our technicians, which are those research assistants, so they are helping to support dispensing and preparation. So for those medications that are given IV or sub-Q, they're working in our sterile clean rooms and doing that preparation. They are driving our inventory management. So when you're talking about tracking log numbers or lot numbers and kit numbers and temperature management, that's a big part of our technician role. And then also the temperature management and doing the audit prep and preparing for that. And they maintain our monitor visits. And then our pharmacy binders are electronic for the most part now. So they're helping to organize and maintain that. They start the budget preparation. We have to build out for each study and each drug within our Vestigo, which is our electronic tool, but we have to build and maintain that. And so our technicians really drive that process. And we talked about temperature monitoring, and then a lot of you are probably familiar with the IDS group in Basket. And so they're helping to flag and maintain that, all the communication that comes through that in Basket. So how do I contact IDS? And so I would say there's many ways. We have that 805-3145 number, and that rings all the phones within IDS. So, and we have workspace in our West Hospital on the first floor, which is within Central Pharmacy. And then we also have a workspace in Cancer Center. And so when you call that number, it's going to ring all the phones. Somebody will answer. And then our fax number is written there. And then our group email is also a good way to contact us as well for things that are not urgent. And then if you spoke in the last name, if you type investigational, that will get our group pager for the team. So one of the things is that we've really, with the implementation of eFlorence, we've tried to develop what resources we have available to the study teams within there. So one of the things that I know for site qualification that sponsors often ask for is a video of our space. And so we've got within the Central Resources binder a video of both of our spaces, both within the Cancer Center and within our Central Pharmacy. That can be used for site qualification visits. And then we also have a package of policies that is also located in in Florence, which I think is helpful during study startup for the sponsors to have those. So those are all located within the central resources binder within eFlorence. And then, so just some tips on working with IDS. So in study startup, I think providing the most recent version of the protocol before the visit, and then checking in with us as far if you site qualification isn't something that we're always at, but checking in with us with the date and time to make sure that we can be there. And then remembering that if potentially we're not available, if they're on campus and want a tour and we're not available, we also have that virtual tour that might suffice for that site qualification. And then for requesting a budget from IDS, sending us information about the protocol, the PRO number, the principal investigator, and current documents if you have them, will help us in being able to facilitate that budget in a timely fashion. And then also sending our SOPs for sponsor approval during the startup process, which are available in eFlorence. And then also making sure that you can have a pharmacist available for the site initiation visit. And the best time to do that is through the IDS group email and just letting the team know when it is, and we can have a pharmacist available to help support that. So then the other side of what we do is help supporting patient visits and dispensing when patients come to campus. And so usually we ask study teams to send us on the Thursday before. So today's Thursday, right? So we're probably receiving a lot of emails today with patients visits for next week. And what that helps us do is to plan the day, plan the staff, right? Because if we have got an unusually high number of dispenses for a non-oncology area, we might need to bring somebody like a technician down to help in central from the cancer center. And it helps us be able to make sure that we've got drug. Because if we find out about a patient visit last minute, it's possible that we won't have drug and we want to have drug. And then if you have important information to share or you have a question, we'd rather hear about it than not. So please send your questions. And then this chart here, I think a coordinator created this at one point, but we really loved it. And so now we ask everyone to try and use it, but it just helps organize the patients. So if you have got like 10 patients for a study that are coming next week, this makes it really easy to put all 10 patients. Or just if there's many studies from the same coordinator to put them all in a chart like this. So for patient visits, it's best to contact us as soon as you know that they're coming to receive treatment. We do, for those preparations that require compounding, I would say, in general, plan for an hour. I think during startup, one of the things that we work with the coordinators on is making sure that they know like roughly how long it will be, because there are some preps that are with an early phase that might take 90 minutes to prepare it. And so then with that, we've got to have some planning with the research team to know, okay, so when you call us from that time, once we go in the IV room, it's going to take 60 minutes or it's going to take an hour, so that expectations are set with the patients. And then for oral medications that don't require IVRS, we usually say about a 30-minute turnaround time for us to pull the drug out of Vestigo, make sure we've documented all the lot numbers and all the information that the sponsors want us to document. That's all I had. And again, if you are open to it, I can send the more detailed documents.
I'd be happy to distribute the tip sheet out.
Yeah. Excellent. Happy to take questions too.
Does anybody have any questions? You can drop it in the chat or unmute yourself. Excellent presentation so far.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
We're going to move along, but feel free to drop any questions in the chat. Question is, what is IVRS?
Oh, so it's interactive. Well, sometimes it's called IXRS now, but originally it was interactive voice response system. Now it's electronic, so it's when the vials are assigned. So usually the coordinators are going in and putting in for the patient visit, like the patient information, and then it will spit back out like you need to go and pull these specific vials for the patient. So it's vial assignment.
Thank you.
All right, Adult Translational Research Unit. My name is Rayanne Peterson. I've worked with the ATRU for quite some time, but I see some familiar names and faces on our board here today. So I feel some of you will be able to give this presentation just as well as I, but hopefully this will give us an opportunity to explain generally what the TRU, what we call the ATRU or TRU does in the pavilion space, and also give a few small updates for those who are frequent users of our unit. So welcome to the ATRU. As translational research units are, we are one of a few on campus, but we really work to create a research environment, both for our research participants and for our study teams and investigators. We know that there's a lot of work that goes into the steps before coming to our space, and lots of things that need to happen after they leave this area as well. And we want to make that the most seamless transition as possible, offering access to dedicated research space, supplies, services, and of course, the expertise of our support personnel. We see a large range of clinical and translational research. We could start at pilot studies all the way through to multi-center clinical trials that may be nationwide. So a lot of variation and a lot of uniqueness to the trials that we serve. So for location, the map here in the center gives a bit of a reference point to where this pavilion area is for the ATRU. So right near the Eye Institute entrance, that pavilion parking lot, it's a nice convenient location for us, being an outpatient clinic, that there's a surface parking lot that is pretty easy access to just enter in that main pavilion entrance and just loop around one corner and you're in our CTSI ATRU area. And within that space, we have dedicated research areas, meaning that we aren't performing clinical standard of care visits within this space. These are all dedicated time appointments to research protocols. Within that space, larger suites that have ensuite bathrooms, TVs, a little more working room, exam rooms that are typical exam rooms, smaller space, but still most of them will have a cot, so we could have participants lie down if they need to. In addition to those clinical spaces, we have lab processing areas, which is kind of my baby there in that ATRU space. So two lab processing areas within the main unit there, as well as additional lab space further over into Frederick West area. And then, of course, the metabolic kitchen and DEXA scanners. So we have some bionutrition space within the ATRU as well. And meeting rooms, charting rooms, rooms for consenting, lots of great areas for handling whatever services and needs are necessary for your visit. Outside of that, as Andrew mentioned, we also have some offsite locations as well that we interact with. So within the Frederick space, some ICU or inpatient visits, we may be coming into a patient area for a blood draw, a timed blood draw or something of the such. We work with children's as well. Our nutritionist has some interaction with them in particular. And within the Frederick Sargent Health Center as well, maybe doing a pre-op or post-op phlebotomy draws for those engaging in research as well. CIR, as was mentioned earlier, and then community locations. So while this may include Frederick Clinic locations, it also opens it up to the possibilities of community collections within churches, schools, community centers. We've gone to military bases to assist with collections and processing in these additional spaces as well. Our team is I like to say this is our best resource, really, is our staff members. So we are comprised of nurses, clinical research, research assistants, as far as medical assistants, LPN. We have full-time laboratory support staff as well. So as we'll talk about in a few slides, we have multiple service lines within the unit. And while we are all assigned to our spaces, we are well cross-trained to assist one another and to create, again, that seamless interaction. So we were all working closely together with you all, our study teams, just to ensure that accuracy and consistency. Our staff members are, of course, well versed in research in particular, and all of those nuances that come with those visits. Our three service lines are bionutrition, clinical, and laboratory. So these are our service line managers. Kelly Dunham runs our bionutrition component. Janet Gosset is our lead RN, and then myself as laboratory manager. In addition to the three of us working with these day-to-day operations, we work under a medical director, currently Dr. Julie Freed, and CTSI administrative support. Dr. Yvette Godet is assisting us with some of that administration pieces that have to happen to make those visits happen within the space as well. For clinical services, as you'd expect, a lot of things can fall within a research protocol on the clinical side. So we are, of course, very proficient in phlebotomy and IV insertions and port access, all the blood sample and biospecimen collections. Just to highlight a few additional things, we do have the ability to do vaccine administrations, spirometry measurements. We have a nice long hallway for a 6-minute walk test. So that is a benefit to many of our study teams. We have worked with specific training so that we can offer safe transfer and lift services, both within the TRU space for most of these services listed, as well as moving into what we call offsite within the medical complex footprint. Our bionutrition core services, again, this is a separate entity, but we'll work closely with our lab and clinical components as well, working out of the main TRU space. The full metabolic kitchen allows us to be able to do controlled feeding trials, probiotics and placebos, a lot of magic happening within that kitchen space, as well as a body composition scanner for DEXA scans. And the newest addition was a new purchase for us of for the resting metabolic rate. So we have new equipment in that space to help support additional trials as well. Then core lab services. So as you are seeing, the clinical services happening within those exam rooms and suites do create biospecimens most often. And the nice part of this area, this space within the TRU, is that those samples then are immediately in the hands of our lab technicians in our lab spaces. So there isn't a need to run somewhere to pick it up, to take it elsewhere. We are able to then begin those processing requirements right away. So within that, we have the ability to do most pre-analytical processing things, whether that's going to be processing for a central lab or which will then prepare and ship out either same day or within batch shipments, or things that will be processed down and stored within our own space. We have multiple freezers available at various temperatures that are 24/7 monitoring. For point of care assessments, again, working kind of in conjunction with our clinical team, the TRU does possess a CLIA certificate of waiver, so that we're able to perform those point of care assessments with under the state regulations. And additionally, for the processing within our space, one of our now not so new additions, but a helpful thing on the study startup side is the creation of the IBC core application. And so that piece within the startup side has helped many of our teams kind of speed through some of those ancillary reviews. In addition to those 3 service lines, comes a lot of research equipment. And so with that, we do have ECG machine, spirometer. We have a vein viewer for those difficult phlebotomy or IV insertions, the DEXA scanner, resting my cart, multiple centrifuges, multiple refrigerators and freezers, and a biosafety cabinet. So we can work with things such as COVID samples and some of those more particular samples that need extra protection. In addition to those things that are owned and maintained by the ATRU, we also host some of our other MCW cores within this space. So the ECHO core has works out of the ATRU, the CAI group with cardiology. The HDX instrument is owned by neurology and is within our core lab space. And language line services, which we spoke about last month. We have the iPads and apps downloaded, ready to go for you for those services as well. The ATRU is a cost center, and so services are billed within our fee structure. This is available online if you'd like to take a look at it. But we do put into this fee structure considerations of non-industry versus industry. We look at project intensity as far as startup fees and what that all entails, and when services are needed, if they are during regular business hours or require off-hours support. We currently have about 232 active projects within the unit. Of those, 110 are industry funded. It's pretty typical. We're usually about somewhere around that halfway mark for industry versus non-industry. Of that, we have 112 unique PIs within those projects. So you can see there's a combination of both returning investigators and those that are new to the ATRU space and services. And across 50 unique departments and divisions. So as I said, I see some familiar names and faces, but there are quite a few departments and divisions that we're happy to work with. So just a couple pointers for those who are already familiar with us or those who are interested in reaching out for research services. The Adult Translational Research Unit website is within the CTSI website. There is a space here where we circled here in my yellow highlighter, the request for services link, which will bring you to a REDCap form, REDCap survey. Here you'll be able to choose within that the CTSI cores that you're interested in utilizing. For the ATRU and the things I've spoken about today, those three service lines, Bionutrition, Core Lab, and ATRU, all have their own checkboxes. If you forget to check all three and you do need all three, checking just one will still get it to us. But just as a mention, it is helpful to have that information at the start when submitting the request for service, so we can begin reviewing feasibility right away. This space on the website will give you both the request for service option as well as the pricing information. We also have a virtual tour link. It's available here as well as in Florence, which is a tour of our entire unit, similar to a real estate tour where you can walk into certain rooms and do a 360 view. There's some information on our ATRU newsletter as well as the visit registration forms for those who are already have services through us. This just gives a quick review of the timeline. So that first line is the request for service. From there, we're looking at feasibility, maybe having conversations with your study team or the person introducing the project to us to resolve any clarifications we might need to give that final feasibility assessment. We reach out then and we offer a quote if necessary. We'll look into that IBC edition and just kind of confirm out those study details so that we can create a letter of agreement. The letter of agreement tells us what services and the terms of service are. We send that out for digital signature, so we don't need to hunt down any wet signatures in this process. Once that's executed, that's when billing begins and when we begin our billable services as far as flow sheet creation, supply ordering, working through rollout meetings and staff trainings. And then, of course, our goal always is to have a completed visit, lots of enrollments within your project, and then a successful study. That's the TRU. Now, are there any questions?
Thank you. We're gonna move this along and I'm gonna advance the slides. We are all ready for you, Teresa.
Hey, thank you. I enjoyed hearing all those presentations for the different resources and services over at Freighter. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes with you all. Thank you for attending, just to go over how to access some of the ancillary services and resources at Children's Wisconsin, whether you're working in pediatrics now or will in the future or have a study that's in both spaces. We just kind of want to expose people to do it. So go ahead. Why it matters. I like to start with the why usually. Asking up front before you get too far into a project is really helpful to make sure that the resource that you're going to be seeking support from can provide the service. They have the appropriate staff and training and equipment needed to do it. Going through the process will ensure that you get the appropriate administrative approval that you'll need to upload into your eBridge application to document that you have secured the approval for the area. And of course, it's mentioned in a few different areas, figuring out the costs and the budgets that are associated with the services that you're requesting and to complete your billing plan, which is all part of that study start process. So we're kind of excited. Last year around March, after kind of putting a lot of work into this, we rolled out a online REDCap resource request for accessing request surveys for the primary services at Children's that are utilized for research. Listed there are the areas that are included in the REDCap. By far, the largest request volume comes in for the pediatric TRU, followed closely by imaging and so forth. But we do have areas built out for that. What we kind of found was that every clinical space had their own intake form and everybody was filling out much different forms, asked the same kind of questions and so forth. So what we did was kind of consolidate all of it in there. There's a QR code. What happens, and we'll go through in a couple slides later, is that you'll fill out a basic survey first, and then based on what areas you're selecting, it'll pop out to branching logic, which each service area indicated what questions and information they needed in order to fulfill that request. So it is in REDCap. It's an external link survey, so you don't need to log into the REDCap or anything for it. It's just kind of there. Next slide. In addition to the QR code I just presented, it's located on Infoscope on the research resources as a link right there. And it's also on the Children's Connect page, which is our children's intranet. It's on the main landing page for the HRPP website. So if you just got into Connect and landed on there, then you would find the resource request there. But I think having it co-located in MCW helps people find it. If you don't need it, you can always ask and we'll help you find it. And if you have any suggestions on where it should live, in addition, please let me know. Next slide. So as I said, the initial intake survey is just basic study information, PI information, just, who you are, what you need, some information about your protocol itself. Each of these questions have different branching logics associated with it, like if it is industry or non-industry, things like that for funding, is it quality or research? Because similar to the adult TRU, there's pricing implications based on your funding sources. So these are kind of the basic questions that every service area said that they were asking, or at least one part of those information received. So that's sort of, you only have to fill it out once. Next slide. And then you'll go into the section where it says, what service areas do you need? And so you just click the ones that you want. Coming soon, I didn't call it out, but we are working on adding the investigational drug services to the REDCap. We're working with laboratory to have them in there, the children's lab. So we're always looking for areas to expand it to, but we started with the most primary ones there. Uploading a protocol is required. And so we have kind of a couple document uploads there. The protocol Consent forms are helpful. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. Each area also, if like in the imaging section, you can also, there's an upload button too, like if you can put an imaging manual in there or a lab manual in the ATRU section. So each area might have their own specific request for it, but we want those kind of, everybody wants a protocol. So you only have to upload that once. Once you've submitted it, it goes to the REDCap, and you'll automatically, as a submitter, will get the PI and the coordinator who's identified in that REDCap with those labels will get a confirmation of receipt, and it includes a PDF of what you submitted, the survey itself, as well as a link to return. And I'll talk about that in a second for why you might need to return it. But I just point out here that you want to keep that email that you got with it because if you do have to go back into it, you'll want that link. And then it also kind of lists the who the administrative approvers are identified for each of the different areas. So that's who the email is going to. I get them all as well. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. But those are just kind of the resources that you want there. So you get that as soon as you've submitted it. Go ahead, next slide. Oh,
Missed the animation.
sorry, I didn't realize there's animation in there. Sorry.
Okay.
And so just as kind of a basic, conceptual framework, the REDCap is a nice way to consolidate and streamline the submission of information to a bunch of different areas and getting your approval notifications back. Each area is still going to maintain their own internal processes for how they review, receive, and approve their research requests. NICU, if you are working in the neonatal intensive care, they have a research committee that meets monthly, and so they'll take your request to that, and then they'll communicate with that. Primary care also has a committee. Imaging, depending on what you've indicated in terms of your imaging in the request, whether or not it's standard of care, it might need to go to imaging, radiation safety, MRI safety, and so forth. So this doesn't take over the internal processes that each area wants to do in order to approve your research. Imaging, you'll get back when it is approved, whether or not you need any other additional approvals located with it. It doesn't eliminate the need for follow-up conversations and consultations especially with the ATRU, very similar to how Rayanne described. You submit your request, you're probably going to be working with the ATRU on the details of it so that a budget can be arranged, things like that. So the more complex your study is, the more touch points might need to be happening, but the point of the REDCap is just to sort of streamline the actual process. But any area that wants to be part of it is not required to follow a particular internal process for reviewing. Okay, go ahead, next slide. And then once the service area, the administrative approver in that area has clicked the approve button, it's really easy for administrators too. We kind of built this in a way so that the children's administrators, who are the ones receiving these requests, in most places don't need REDCap accounts either. They get a survey and a link, and they can download the things, and so they'll get everything there. They click approve, and then once they click approve, it'll automatically send this email approval notification to the requester, the PI, as well as the coordinator. And each approval notification was built out with whatever text that service line wanted. So again, imaging will have some details about imaging. ATRU has their language. Everybody kind of decided what they wanted their letters to look like and how they wanted to document that. And this is what then you would upload as your, printed to PDF and upload it into section 52 of your eBridge proposal as documentation of the support for the resource that you need. So hopefully that is working well. Okay, next slide. And then, as I mentioned before, when you submit that initial survey submission, you get that return of confirmation with that link. The reason we built the REDCap so that you could go back in if during study startup you had any new information. Maybe there's a new lab manual that's been done or something changed, as things do during startup. We wanted people to be able to go in and update a resource request rather than submitting a new request. So if you do find that you have to go back into your resource request, you'll find that link that you had. As always, if you can't find it, you can contact me and I can push it out to you manually from REDCap. But we really want to get to the point where each study only has one request rather than submitting a duplicate request. It gets kind of hard for people to manage the new ones from the old ones. So we do want you to go in to do that. Once you click update, there'll be other branching logics where it'll tell you like what sections are you updating, which ones are you not updating, and then it'll just push out to those areas that have new information, the stuff that they need. So it's hopefully working in that way. Okay, next slide. And then I just also wanted to spend a couple highlights here for the areas that are not part of the red cap, but services that you may find in need for if you're working within children's space. So one is language services. We are super thrilled to be working with the document translation services provided by the Language Services Corps. I think that's been a fantastic improvement and really streamlined the way that document translation works for studies on campus. But just note that within Children's Hospital, we're not permitted to use the interpreter services, the spoken language interpretation that occurs during study visits. We have to use children's approved interpreters within the hospital. So we can't use the interpreter services that are provided through the Corps. But Children's does offer face-to-face, phone, and video interpretive services through our language services department. It's super easy if you're doing your study visits in the ATRU. There's no charge for that. The in-person interpreters are generally reserved for clinical care, so we do find whenever possible to promote the use of the phone and the video interpretive services for study visits, but we can also make arrangements when that's not feasible for a study and we need to have an in-person interpreter, so we can work with it that way. But everything else for document translation works exactly the same way as if you were doing your study on the adult side as well, so we are super grateful to be part of that. And we do have the templates. The pediatric templates are also, translated. So if you do need to submit something to get translated, you're only having to pay for the things that's different from the templates themselves. Okay, next slide. Almost done here, I think. And then finally, biomedical and clinical engineering is another kind of resource that's available at Children's that I want to just raise awareness to. It's not kind of an ancillary service resource request, but it is a really, really important part of doing research at Children's to be in compliance with our regulatory requirements for use of equipment. And so clinical engineering, they obviously they'll come and tag your equipment, and then they'll keep track of all the calibration records for it. They will ensure that you are maintaining the maintenance that's required by the manufacturer on that product as well. So we want to do it. There is a new equipment form, which is located in Florence. So you can find it there. And then also within Florence, there is the standard calibration and freezer logs that you can get like for the ATRU equipment and so forth. But if you do need calibration or freezer logs for things that are outside of the ATRU, then you would access that through biomedical and clinical engineering. One more. And then Child Life. I also want to always just kind of put a plug in for Child Life as well. Again, not a research resource ancillary services, but Child Life program is available for research visits. So if you're having visits in the ATRU, they are there. You schedule it with the ATRU visit. You'd also schedule a Child Life specialist to be attending to that visit and use their highly skilled resources to help prepare the kids for the procedures that they're having done. So we really want to make sure that participating in research is not scary for kids. And so we are super grateful to have the partnership of the Child Life program to do that. We have kind of one or two specialists that routinely visit the ATRU for those visits. So please don't forget about using that. Okay, last slide, I think that's okay. And if you do have any questions about doing research at Children's, again, maybe you're not doing it now, maybe you do in the future. We're always here to help. I'm certainly here as a resource to help point people in the right direction of where they might find resources. Here's the amazing team that we all work with that kind of hit all the general areas, including the HRPP, the ATRU, as well as our corporate compliance office is there. And I also like to drive traffic to the essential contacts list that's located on the Children's website on the main HRPP landing page as well, and research documents, which has a whole list of all the different service areas that would be used for research and who the primary contact is for those different areas. So if you're not sure how to do it, start there, and then we'll point you in the right direction. So again, thanks for your time. Happy to support any research in Children's. I know we're out of time, so people are welcome to contact me if they have any questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.